Hello friends, in this lecture we will see how we can use some of the tools available on Linux to manage our hardware. One of those tools is lspci to list PCI devices. Another one that we can use is list USB so that we can see what are the USB devices attached to our machine. And also we will see that how we can add in certain modules in the Linux kernel, or maybe we can remove certain modules. The concept of modules in Linux is pretty simple, is that just like in case of Windows, we need drivers to interact with the hardware. In case of Linux, we call them modules, and we add a module into the kernel so that it can interact with certain hardware. Now, most of these modules are automatically added at the time when the machine gets booted up. But if we want to add in a module, maybe that module which does not come with the default distribution, or maybe we want to remove a module, or maybe we need to change certain aspects of it. So now let's just quickly come onto the terminal and see some of the commands that we can use to achieve this functionality. I'm here at the Ubuntu box, and the first command that I'm going to use, and I must also tell you that the commands that relate to the hardware, although they work even with your username, but sometimes the results are not shown in their fullest. So it's better that once we are using these commands that interact with the hardware, we do use root privileges or use sudo. So I type in sudo and then list PCI devices. I type in lspci and press enter, and it shows us this information. For example, this is the SATA controller that is attached to the PCI slot. This is USB controller. Of course, this is virtualized at the moment, but we see that it is inserted into the virtualized PCI slot. Then another one, this is another USB controller, and then multimedia audio controller is in there as well. Now we can increase the verbosity or the information that is shown over here. If I put in, let's say, -v switch, now a lot more information has been given. For example, even the IRQ or interrupt request number has been posted out as well. And these are the memories. If I bring it up, let's say over here onto the USB controller, or maybe this multimedia controller, then this is also saying that Intel Corporation device, and the kernel driver in use is sound. So this is the module that I was talking about, that is installed for particularly sound purposes. And also over here, system peripheral, Innotech, system Beratung, GmbH, this is VirtualBox guest service, and we see that the module name is VBox guest. Now let's also quickly try to see, and this is the PCI controller for Ethernet. We can see that this is the interface, and this is the kernel module for that. So let's do one thing. Let's try to see that what does this list USB command shows us. So I type in list USB, and at the moment we see that we have got two buses, and on one bus we have got this root hub, and on the other bus we have got this VirtualBox USB tablets. So let's try to, let's say, add in a device on the USB port of this machine. So I have added this USB drive in one of the USB slots, and now let's try to use this list USB command. And surely we can see that this is Kingston technology drive, USB drive, which I have inserted in. I can do a verbose so that it shows more detailed information. And let's just bring it up and see where is that. So this is the mass storage device, and the information is here that this is bus 01, and ID of the vendor is Kingston Technology, and product name is Data Traveler 2.0. This is the max power that it is taking, or it would take, and also some detailed information that indeed does not concern us at the moment. Another command that you can use to see the USB devices is USB devices, and if I bring it up, this is the device that I put in, which is the product ID is Data Traveler and manufacturer is Kingston. So more or less the same, even it's showing the serial number as well. So just wanted to show you these commands that are there available that you can use to list the PCI devices that are attached on PCI slots of your machine or the devices that are connected with your USB slots. Also remember that USB speeds and their technology advancements, they are related to the current version that you are running. For example, if you got a hardware that is of USB version 3.0, then the Linux kernel should at least be 2.6.31 or near than that. Otherwise, your USB 3 device would not work on the kernel which is older than that. Now moving on to the modules that are loaded in the kernel or that you can load into the kernel, I can type in the command, let's say mod probe and then -L. So what all modules that are available on this system that can be loaded into the kernel. So I press enter, and this is a long list of modules with the extension of .ko that can be loaded in. Now the modules that are already loaded, these are the modules that can be loaded, but the modules that are loaded, we can use the command list module and I press enter. And these are some of the modules. For example, this relates to the VirtualBox guest editions. This SND, of course, they relate to the sound. And if I bring it up a little bit, these all are sound modules. These modules that relate to the filtering of the packets. And if I, let's say, bring it down, I'm specifically looking which module I should remove and that should be visible to you as well. Okay, so this is the one. This we can use. This module. This relates to the interface, Ethernet interface, and we can even see the details of this one. So I can type in the command, for example, mod info and then the module name, which is, let's say, E1000, to see some of the details of this module that I may not be sure that whether this is related to the interface or not, but let's just check it. I know that this relates to the internet, so Ethernet interface. So just press in enter mod info E1000, and we have a lot of information over here. So if I bring it up, let's say over here, so this is the file name, this library modules, and this is the kernel number that is available, these kernel drivers, and this is Ethernet. And also this description says that it's a network driver, this for gigabit interface. Now what I'm thinking at the moment is, let's try to remove this module, but if I remove this module, then definitely, since I am remotely connected to this machine, I will lose my connectivity. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna go into the GUI mode of this machine, and then we'll try to remove this module. So just give me a second and I'll be right back. Alright, so now I'm at the console session of that Ubuntu server that we were working on, and now I'll not be worried about losing the connectivity. So let's just log into the machine. Just give it a second so that it displays this interface. And now once we are in, let me pull up this terminal, and you see this one, this is the network connectivity interface that is showing over here, and I intend to remove this. So definitely we'll lose the connectivity. Again, let's just quickly use the command which was list module, and this is the one that we want to remove. Now there are two ways to remove the module if we want to. We can either use the command remove mod, or the other one that I used to prefer is mod probe -R and then the module name, which is E1000. Since we'll be interacting with the kernel, so we need to run this command with root privileges. So I type in sudo and then press enter. I need to put in my password, which I do, and you see as soon as I press enter and given my password, the module has been removed, and indeed we have got this message that internet connectivity or the wired connectivity has been down. So I cannot use it now because that interface is no longer there. If I use the command, let's say list modules, we see now that E1000 module is no more there. Now, in order to add a module, for example, the module that we have just removed, if you want to add it, there are two ways. We can use the mod probe command, or we can use the command, let me see if it is in there, insert module command. You would like to use mod probe command because this insert module command, the problem with this command is that it kinds of, if your module that you want to add in, it depends on other modules, then it will give the error that it cannot load the module, it needs that module, and then that module, you know, dependency problem. But mod probe command, it works in a different way. If you give in a module and that depends on certain other modules, and you have got your files in the system like I had just shown you by putting in the command mod probe -L, all the available modules. Now, if those modules are available and your particular module depends on any of the module that is listed in here, then that will automatically be loaded. But if you are using ins module or insert module, then that does not work that way. So I prefer to use mod probe. Let's try to do that. Let's try to bring that module into the kernel one more time. So I type in mod probe and no flags are needed, just the module name, which was E1000. And I press enter. I need to give in my password, which I do. And we see that network connectivity has established. And if I do list module command one more time, we should see that E1000 module has now been made part of our kernel. Now there is a flag that you can use along with this mod probe command, like the one that I used over here, and it's dry run. It is like -n, and what it does is that it will simply show us that if we want to add this module, what effect would it have. For example, if that module could have a detrimental effect on the kernel or this overall the system, then definitely we would not like to do that. Let's try to do that again. Let's remove this module, and once it gets removed, let's see if this -n option shows us anything related to this E1000. So I press enter, and apparently it has not shown us anything. Alright, so although it's not showing dry run output regarding this module, but I would urge you that in your production network on your live systems, I would like you to, and also it's a recommendation that if you're not sure of the module that what it is doing, then better have a dry run first. You can use this -n command, or you can use -- dry run to see that what this particular module that you are going to add, what it would do. So now let's bring this module back by adding it, and I just press enter, and now it's back up. Also this command, what it does is that it adds or deletes the modules at the runtime. So the moment you restart the system, the default configuration for that particular module will be back. If you want to add certain configuration parameters or maybe change certain configuration parameters, default configuration parameters regarding a particular module, then you can use this directory, which is etc and mod probe.d, and over here these are some of the configuration files for those modules that are loaded into the system. And it's not required from LPIC 1 certification, but I'm just letting you know that there is a directory in modprobe.d where you can put in your modules configuration file so that you can change certain settings, so that once your system gets booted up, those new settings get loaded within that module. So that's all there is to it as far as management of hardware using PCI devices or USB devices, or even loading the modules into your Linux box. I hope you have learned from this video, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.